Okay, now this is the cleanest setup I've built. It's only been 2 months that I've been gaming here, and already I got sick of the dual monitor setup, so this is what I've come up with. The entire setup is sitting on top of this Hexcal Elevate desk, and it is actually a standing desk. This was nice to get under the desk while managing cables, but while actually gaming, I only ever sit. But so you know, the two legs raise and lower from 24.4 inches to 50 inches, all while supporting up to 350 pounds of weight. I really like the all black table as I think it looks quite clean, but it does lack the character that my workspace does. You guys also keep saying that I copied Optimum, so I will be swapping this out at some point. I have a Govee light strip at the back, and I just bought a white one because I don't like RGBs, and if you set any normal light strip to white, it has more of a yellow hue. For my chair, I have the Zodi 2 from Hayworth, and I think that this is one of the most important pieces of this entire setup. I've configured it to have proper lumbar support, and the mesh feels so good on my back. The seat cushion is stiffer than you'd expect, but manages to remain comfortable literally for hours and hours, so if you want to work all day and then game, this allows you to do so. It'll cost you $1,000, which is getting closer to Herman Miller territory, but spending a lot on a nice chair is never a bad investment. To keep cables tidy, I have 3 main tools that are very cost effective. First, and probably most obvious, is a cable tray. Literally anyone is fine, but this one I have from Vivo has worked perfectly. The second is double-sided tape, as it's super strong. Quick side note, sticking a power strip to the underside is a massive cheat code for cable tidiness, and this is being held up with that tape. With this, you only have a single cable hanging down, and then everything, including the standing desk, is plugged straight into it. Lastly, I bought these cable clips. These are great to stick anywhere on the underside and make sure that you don't have anything hanging down. You get 50 of these for only 14 bucks, and they're one of the easiest ways to drastically clean up your desk. So I did downsize from having dual 27-inch monitors. It turns out that I didn't get as much use out of my vertical monitor as I thought I would. Mainly, it was meant to keep Discord and OBS at the side, but it turns out you need to actually have friends and time to stream for that to make sense, so figured I'd get rid of it. I now have a single, much nicer monitor that makes the space a whole lot cleaner. When I saw this one from Alienware get released, I just knew I had to check it out for review. This set me back $1,200, but it has a 32-inch QD OLED display and a 240Hz refresh rate. This display is gorgeous, but without HDR on, it's sometimes a little dark, so I recommend enabling the True Black HDR mode. I've had this on even while on the desktop, and it looks significantly better. One of the things I noticed was just how accurate colors look on here. This is a level of accuracy that I never would have expected to see on a gaming monitor, and I am welcoming it. With this being a QD OLED panel, it unfortunately does give blacks more of a gray color in a room with lots of ambient light, but luckily when I've been in here playing at night, it looks just as expected. This hasn't been a deal breaker for me, but it is something worth noting. Another quirk with OLED is the pixel arrangement. This does cause some text fringing, which I was worried about before I got it in, but at a normal viewing angle at 150% scaling, this has not been a problem. I only ever see it if I'm like 8 to 10 inches away from the screen, or if there's some really big text. Now otherwise, 4K gaming has been great with my updated PC rig that we'll touch on any minute. This panel leads to practically no ghosting and an overall clear image. This is a glossy panel, and while there are some reflections depending on where you play, it hasn't been much of an issue for me. The trade-off for how much nicer a glossy display looks compared to having a matte one is far worth the cost. When on PC, I'm connected over DisplayPort, but this monitor does also have HDMI 2.1, which doubles as a great option for the PS5. It of course looks fantastic and is able to take advantage of VRR in supported games like Spider-Man 2. The display has a 1700R curve, which I know some people don't like, but personally, I think it's fine. It is pretty noticeable, but I've never found that it distorts the image, and in-game, it feels a little bit more immersive. The included stand is nice, but like most, takes up a lot of room on the desk, so to free up that space, I picked up a single monitor arm. I dropped $75 on this Gasprang one from Ergear, but I personally think that spending more on a high-quality arm is well worth the money. At my workspace, I have $30 Vivo ones, and they do the job, but at this desk, I move around the monitor quite a bit, and it's just so much easier on this arm. Now, as is probably clear, to play at 4K anywhere near 240 FPS, you need a very powerful PC. Recently, I upgraded my rig to the i7 13700K, and this has been a significant upgrade from my previous 9th gen chip. There still isn't a DDR5 version of the Trident Z Royals, and I really didn't want to get rid of those, so this ended up being a pretty cost-effective upgrade. I have 32GB, which has been perfect for solely gaming, but it's also enough if I ever want to play around in Blender or Unreal Engine. My white O11 Mini does throw off the space a little, so I was looking for an ITX case, but my Gigabyte 4080 simply takes up too much much space to fit in any of them. The 4080 isn't a great value, but for 4K and previously 1440p gaming, it's an absolute beast. Inside of my PC, I really like to keep a Funko Pop for some added character, and this Future Foundation Spider-Man has been my choice for the last few months. Now, I used to try out a lot of different gaming peripherals, but I'm now at the point where I found what I like and don't feel that same need to be swapping things around all that often. The only thing I did change was my mouse, as Pulsar sent me their new X-Lite V3. Underneath, I'm still rocking Pulsar's ES2 mousepad. I find this to be really nice for gaming. It has a smooth feel and matches the aesthetic I'm going for quite well. It's the extra large size though, which basically required that I use a monitor arm, otherwise the stand had to sit at an angle. For my keyboard, I have the Wooting 60HE, which I put a couple $100 of mods into that makes it the best gaming keyboard out there. Most of you probably know about this keyboard, but for the few of you who don't, the quick TLDR is it has magnetic switches that track how far you've pressed down a key, allowing for much quicker movements in game. If you play competitive titles, this is honestly a must-have. I threw the board into this aluminum case from Mechanisk and put some blank ceramic keycaps on top, which gives this a super premium feel. Whenever I game, I use headphones, and the Beyerdynamic DT990 Pros are my go-to. I'm literally in love with these headphones. They are easily the best $200 I've ever spent. They're super light, incredibly comfortable, and sound so good. You are sacrificing some convenience by not having a built-in mic here, but the sound on any gaming headset just doesn't come close. To power them, I do have the Audient Evo 4 interface. I love the big volume knob at top, and ever since seeing both Optimum and Andres using it, I knew I had to get it. In the last version of the setup, I did have an MV7 on a boom arm, but I moved that to my workspace because I got a table for A-roll that now has the SM7B on it. I almost never play with friends anyways, so it didn't really make sense to take up all that space, but when I do need it, it'll take like 30 seconds to switch. So this has been my minimal gaming setup in the office. Having the space dedicated to gaming separate from my work desk has been really nice to unplug one day a week, because between these videos and work, don't have too much time to game, but we keep pushing. Go check out my PC build video from last week. It is a 4K beast. Take care.